The new arrival. It was a lovely morning on the island of Sodor, and Sir Topham Hatt had called all of his engines to Knapford Station. So, you might be aware of this, but I've recently bought a new engine. Who's his name, sir? Well, you'll find out. Just then, a big blue tender engine came in. My engines, this is Hank. He'll be helping us out with the goods work. Howdy, folks. Howdy, Hank. Hello, Hank, said Thomas. Hello to you, too, said Percy. But Gordon was cross. He might even take my express. Now, Gordon, said Sir Topham Hatt, please be welcoming to our new engine. Oh, sorry, Hank. It's fine. Hank, for your first job, you'll be carrying freight. Yes, sir, said Hank. And all of my engines, you must go now. Yes, sir, said Thomas. Yes, sir, said Percy, and they both steamed away. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, said Hank, and he steamed away. Later that day, Edward had already shunted Hank's train. And when Hank backed down to the train, he was surprised. Hello there, Blue Engine. Haven't seen you around before, said Hank. Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Edward. And who are you? You must be Hank, right? Yes, Edward. It's very nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, too, said Edward. When it was time for Hank to go, Hank had set off. Bye, Edward. Thank you so much for shunting my train, said Hank, and he steamed away. You're welcome, Hank, said Edward. Later that day, when Hank was pulling his train, his brakes had failed, and he was now a runaway. Help! Help! Said Hank. But no one was there to help him, and the cars kept pushing him. On, said the troublesome trucks, banging their buffers, and Hank went down the hill. Hank was now a runaway, and he was starting to go faster and faster. Help! Said Hank, but nobody was there to help him. Further down the line, Thomas was having a drink and resting when all of a sudden, help! Thomas had saw Hank pass by, and he was surprised. Oh no! Hank's in trouble. I need to go ahead and save him, said Thomas, and he steamed to the rescue. When Thomas got to Hank was glad to see him. Oh, Thomas, I'm glad to see you. Please help me. Don't worry, Hank. Thomas to the rescue, said Thomas, and he steamed to the front of Hank. When Thomas got to the front of Hank, he had slammed his brakes. When Thomas got to the front of Hank, he had slammed on his brakes. And when the train came to a stop, Thomas was exhausted but happy. Oh, boy, that was a close one, said Thomas. Yeah, I can't agree more, said Hank. Hey, Hank, how would you like if me and you pulled the train together, said Thomas. You know what? That isn't a bad idea, said Hank. And the two set off together. That evening at Knapford Station, Sir Topham Hatt was there. He was pleased. Thomas, I heard that you saved Hank from a nasty runaway. I am very proud of you, and as a reward, you are gonna get a new fresh coat of paint. Oh, thank you, sir, said Thomas, and he steamed away to the steamworks. You're gonna go to the steamworks as well, Hank, and you'll get your brakes fixed. Thanks, sir, said Hank, and he steamed away to the steamworks. Later that night, Thomas couldn't help but smile. And he couldn't smile because he had been a really useful engine.